Aromatic hydrocarbons that are valuable feedstocks in the petrochemical industries are most commonly obtained from catalytic reforming of naphtha. The xylene isomers, ortho-xylene, Meta-xylene, and in particular Parex are important chemical intermediates. Ortho-xylene is oxidized to make phthalic anhydride, which is used to make phthalate plasticizers. Meta-xylene is oxidized to produce isophthalic acid, which is used in unsaturated polyester resin. Para-xylene has the largest market of these three isomers. The demand for para-xylene is several times that of Meta-xylene and ortho-xylene. The largest use of para-xylene is in its oxidation to make terephthalic acid that is used in turn to make polymers such as polyethylene terephthalate and polybutylene terephthalate. PET is one of the largest volume polymers in the world and is used to produce fibers, resins, films, and blown beverage bottles. The objective of this presentation is to discuss the principles behind the separation of xylene isomers. The paraffins and naphthenes in straight-run naphtha are converted to desired aromatics in a catalytic reformer. The products from the catalytic reformer are sent to a raffinate splitter in which the top product consists of benzene, toluene, and some non-aromatics, and the bottom product are C8 hydrocarbons, ortho-xylene, Meta-xylene, Parex, and ethylbenzene, along with C9 aromatics. The bottom stream from the raffinate splitter is further distilled in a xylenes splitter in which the top product consists of the C8 hydrocarbons, ortho-xylene, Meta-xylene, Parex, and ethylbenzene, and the bottom's product are the C9 aromatics. The mixture of C8 hydrocarbons is then sent to a unit that is called an SMB adsorber. SMB stands for simulated moving bed. The feed mixture is separated into two different streams. A raffinate stream consists of ortho-xylene, Meta-xylene, and ethylbenzene, and the extract stream consists of the para-xylene isomer that has the highest demand. And this para-xylene isomer is a feedstock to produce products such as PET and PBT. There are two major process licensors for SMB technology for xylene separations. The Parex process of universal oil products in the United States and the Accents technology from the company in France. I show here the diagram for the SMB technology as implemented in the Parex process of UOP. The background details are provided in the papers that are cited here. Essentially, the commercial Parex process uses 24 adsorbent beds divided into 2 chambers. Each adsorbent chamber has 12 beds, and each bed is connected to a rotary valve that is depicted here. The liquid circulates between the 2 adsorbent chambers through the push around and pump around lines. The beds are stationary, and the essence of countercurrent liquid adsorbent contacting is achieved by switching of the valves. So the movement of the bed is simulated, and that is the reason it is called SMB technology, or simulated moving bed. The beds are stationary. The countercurrent contacting between the C8 hydrocarbons and the adsorbent, typically barium X zeolite, is achieved by the switching of the valves, and the details are provided in these 2 papers. Let us examine the separation of C8 aromatics. The boiling points of the 4 C8 aromatics, ortho-xylene, Meta-xylene, para-xylene, and ethylbenzene, are very close to one another, and distillation separations are not feasible. However, there is a significant difference in the freezing points of the C8 aromatics. The component with the highest freezing point is para-xylene, and when the solution of C8 aromatics is cooled, the first crystals to come out of solution consist of para-xylene. This is because para-xylene stacks most efficiently to form crystals. Fractional crystallization is also a commercially viable technology for separating C8 aromatics. In this presentation, we consider the other alternative of separating the C8 aromatics by relying on entropy effects. Indeed, we shall look for adsorbents that rely on entropy effects to separate C8 aromatics. Now, para-xylene forms about 20% of the feed mixture that needs to be separated, and therefore we need adsorbents that selectively adsorb para-xylene from the mixture. Commercial units employ simulated moving bed adsorbers, and in most of the technologies that are offered currently, barium x-zeolite is used as adsorbent. The picture here is just to demonstrate that the separation of C8 aromatics in an adsorption device requires us to recognize the differences in the packing efficiencies of the C8 aromatics within the crystalline framework. It is analogous to stacking books in a bookshelf. In current industrial practice, the adsorbent used in simulated moving beds is barium x-zeolite that has the Fauger-site topology that consists of cages of approximately 11 angstrom size that are separated from adjacent cages by 7.4 angstrom windows. A very good description of the separation of xylene isomers using barium x-zeolite is available in the thesis of Costa that is available online. And I use the information and the figures from this thesis to illustrate a few points regarding entropy effects. Let's consider first the adsorption of Meta-xylene in barium X. Within a single alpha cage, the location of the first two molecules of Meta-xylene is relatively easy. But the location of a third molecule within the alpha cage is energy demanding because it requires a reorientation of the meta-isomer. The same is true for the ortho-isomer. In contrast to meta-xylene, the placement of the third molecule of para-xylene within BAX is not energy demanding because the longer para-xylene molecule can be located in the plane of the window and is stabilized by interactions with the oxygen atoms of the framework. There is no corresponding adsorption of meta-xylene or ortho-xylene at the window sites possible. So, summarizing, the difference in the adsorption of meta-isomer and ortho-isomer with the para-isomer is that with the para-isomer, the loading of 3 molecules per cage is more easily achieved than with the ortho and the meta-isomer for which the location of the third molecule per kg is an energy demanding task. For 50-50 mixtures of para-xylene, meta-xylene, experimental data on the selectivity of para-xylene with respect to meta-xylene is plotted here as a function of the number of molecules per super kg. This x-axis also relates to the pore occupancy. We note that for BAX zeolite, the absorption selectivity of para-xylene with respect to meta-xylene is just about unity or thereabouts till a loading of 2 molecules per super kg. As I had already mentioned earlier, the placement of the third molecule per super kg for meta-xylene is much more energy demanding than for para-xylene, because para-xylene can be located at the window sites because it is stabilized by interactions with the oxygen atoms of the phagosite framework, and the absorption selectivity of para-xylene with respect to meta-xylene increases to a value of about 2 as the pore occupancy increases to about 3 molecules per super kg. In comparison, the data for NaX zeolite shows that the selectivity for para-xylene and meta-xylene are just about equal. It is important to note that the increase in the para to meta-xylene selectivity with increasing pore occupancy is a signature of entropic separations that are driven by differences in the packing efficiencies or entropy effects within the cages of barium X zeolite. In a simulated moving bed adsorber, the feed of C8 aromatics is in the liquid phase, and the essence of countercurrent contact between the liquid mixture and the solid adsorbent containing BAX zeolite is achieved by periodic switching of the inlet valves for the feed mixture, for the eluent that is commonly para-diethylbenzene, and the outlets of the raffinate phase and the extract phase containing essentially para-xylene. There are essentially 4 zones in the operation of an SMB adsorber. In zone 1, the adsorbent is regenerated. In zone 2, ortho xylene, meta-xylene, and ethylbenzene are desorbed. In zone 3, para-xylene is adsorbed selectively. And in zone 4, the element para-diethylbenzene is recovered and recycled back into the adsorber. The desorbent used in the UOP Parex unit is para-diethylbenzene, and the advantage of PDEB is that it has approximately the same affinity for barium X zeolite as does para-xylene, balancing the adsorbent required for para-xylene desorption while not excluding para-xylene from adsorbing in the adsorption zone. PDEB boils at about 450 Kelvin, while the highest boiling xylene, which is ortho-xylene, boils at 417.6 Kelvin. So there is a substantial relative volatility to perform the distillation separations economically. An alternative to PDEB as desorbent is to use toluene. For background, consult my paper in ACS Omega 2020.